evening. You're watching GRTS and welcome to the news. In the headlines, the Minister of the Interior briefs the press on the latest developments in his ministry. The National Assembly continues the debate on the President's State of the Nation address. Somali authorities issue an ultimatum to locals who travel to Al-Shabaab-controlled areas to seek justice. And Egypt boosts its air force with French fighter jets. These and many more coming ahead in this half hour. I am your presenter, Jaina Benyan. The Minister of the Interior, Ahmed Fati, on Thursday briefed the press on the latest developments in his ministry. He also provided answers to questions surrounding the signing of a $48 million agreement with a Senegalese firm for the construction of a forensic laboratory in the Gambia. Abdoulaye Baji was there and he filed in this report.
The $48 million agreement signed by the Minister of Interior on behalf of the government raised questions amongst the citizenry, some saying it would have been better utilized by other sectors. Honorable Fati seized the briefing to clarify the issue.
The Gambia government has not contributed a budget for the forensic lab scheme. That is to say, it is purely a private investment by a private investor who came to the Gambia on his own accord of volition, without invitation from anybody. What is government offering? Land.
A key concern for the ministry is eliminating corruption and getting rid of the security threats the country is currently facing.
We want to also fight to eliminate corruption in the security sector all over the country. Sustaining and peaceful integration of our returnees from Europe and elsewhere is a very serious concern to this ministry. A lot of our young people have left and some of them have started coming back.
Minister Fati also unveiled ongoing plans to completely reform the Gambia Prison Service, where inmates can be rehabilitated, equipped with skills, and given a new lease on life, thereby contributing effectively to the socio-economic development of the country.
When a citizen falls foul of the law, and the society expresses its greatest repugnance for this crime by putting the person in prison, we want that citizen to come out a better person. You go to prison a broken person, you go to prison a criminal. You come out of prison reformed, a responsible citizen willing to contribute to society.
This briefing is the first of monthly briefings to be convened by the Interior Ministry to update the public on developing issues.
The Minister of Interior will be holding a monthly public engagement activity. Of this nature, it will take another form, so that we can account to the public of what we do. The public through the media will have the opportunity to question and interrogate our policies and our activities and our performances.
The press briefing also saw clarifications regarding the issuance of biometric documents to be done by a Senegalese company. The Honorable Minister explained this contract was awarded to the said company during the Jammeh administration, who later decided to terminate the contract by executive order.
Similarly, was contacted by the Gambia government under the former president. And having awarded them a contract, the records indicated that Similex began the importation of technological equipment to implement the contract at the value of about $10 million United States dollars. As I speak to you, I'm aware that those equipment are still here in the country.
Issues related to road safety, crime control and accountability were also discussed. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Abdoulaye Baji.
Ahmadiyya Muslims across the world are meeting in the United Kingdom for their biggest annual gathering. Set to last for 3 days, the Jalsa Salana, or convention, attracting participants from 90 countries, is being held in Surrey, in England. Global justice and peace is the theme for this year's event. Ibrahim Ajata reports from Surrey.
A vast multicolored illustration is how a gathering of 35,000 people looks like when framed together. In the 51st commemoration of the annual Jalsa Salana, over 40,000 Muslims from 90 countries across the world have journeyed to the United Kingdom to witness what is the biggest Islamic gathering in the world, only surpassed by the Hajj and holy pilgrimage in Mecca. The ringing theme of this year's event is global justice and peace, as congregants remember recent terrorist atrocities, including the Manchester bombings that came amid a rousing global outcry against terrorism.
और जिनको तौफीक है वो सरकार भी दें कि अल्लाह ताला जलसे को हर लिहाज से कामयाब और बरकत फरमाए और सब लोग यहाँ आकर शामिल होने वाले भी और दुनिया में मुख्तलिफ ममालिक में रहने वाले अहमदी भी जो MTA के जरिए से जलसे की कार्रवाई सुन रहे हैं जलसे की हर लिहाज से कामयाबी और दुश्मन के शर से बचने के लिए दुआ करें.
Hospitality, warmth and generosity were key messages underlined by Khalifatul Masih V, Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, as he delivered the opening Friday sermon, leading the faithful in their fast congregational prayers in the ongoing Jalsa.
जलसे की कार्रवाई को सुने और इधर उधर न फिरे. एक इंसानिया को और कारकुनों को ये भी कहना चाहता हूँ और पहले भी कई मरतबा कह चुका हूँ कि इंसानिया लोगों की सहूलियत के लिए ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा कोशिश करो. बाद लोग जब कुछ खा पी कर नहीं आते घरों से जल्दी आ जाते हैं, ये आदत नहीं होती सुबह खाने की और फिर यहाँ आके बाद देर भी हो जाती है खाने के वक्त में. लंबे फाके की वजह से
People journey to the Jalsa to attain spiritual purity, according to the Khalifatul Masih, who entreated Muslims to forward qualities of voluntarism and friendliness in this important undertaking. Here one encounters the very diversity that the Islamic faith assembles, with people from all backgrounds and walks of life meeting to interact and forge strong bonds of companionship, kinship and understanding. The Jalsa Salana lasts for an eventful 3 days, bringing together a multiplicity of events that include conferences, exhibitions and workshops by various scholars on different themes. This year's event is additionally colored with a fair that contains Muslim and non-Muslim intellectuals. For GRTS News, I am Ibrahim Jata, reporting from London, England.
The National Disaster Management Agency, NDMA, Friday received donations of money and relief materials from the private sector, meant to support disaster victims across the country. Ibrahim Jalo covered the presentation ceremony at the NDMA head office, and this is his report.
The donations were in response to requests by the agency to help support the large number of people affected by natural disasters across the country in this year's rainy season. Trust Bank presented a check for $50,000, followed by a pledge of €2,000 by a group called Tanka Tanka Association. Guarantee Trust Bank donated 50 bags of rice and 50 packets of corrugated iron seeds. Then came Mega Bank with a check for $10,000.
When natural disaster strikes, it does not discriminate. It can affect anybody irrespective of their social standing. Our bank, the Trust Bank, has a long, distinguished history of collaboration with the NDMA. Our bank also has a long history of collaborating with the government of the Gambia. We did so many years ago, and we have even more reason today to keep doing it.
When the National Disaster Management Authority approached us to provide support for the flood and storm victims in the LRR, it was not difficult for us to accede to that request. This is because we read the unfortunate development on the newspapers and also saw it on GRTS. We are aware that a number of families have lost their houses and food stock. Certainly this must be a difficult time for them all. We hope that our modest donation today would go a long way in improving their conditions.
The executive director of NDMA, Alhaji Sani, said data from the Department of Water Resources suggests an increase in disaster incidents.
We expect a lot of people would be victimized by flooding as well as storm. Subsequently, we convened a meeting of stakeholders locally, but of course in which we invited our international partners to brief them on the probable outcome of this year's rains, 2017-2018.
When we have a genuine call and a call to help bail our Gambians, we will be very, very happy to come out and help. And that was one of the reasons one agency, we felt it's extremely important that we need to come out and help.
NDMA's boss said the donated items would be distributed to disaster victims after the conclusion of an ongoing assessment process in the affected areas. The agency continues its call for support within and outside the country in response to disasters. Ibrahim Jallo, GRTS News.
The debate on His Excellency President Adama Barrow's State of the Nation address continues at the National Assembly in Banjul. Famara Kanye attended the second leg of the debate and prepared this report.
After His Excellency President Adama Barrow's address to the National Assembly, his statement has been subjected to debate by deputies. The statement in its cross-cutting nature has touched on critical areas ranging from agriculture, health, education, defense and security, women empowerment to the creation of employment opportunities. Many deputies believe that the President's statement is a hope for the new Gambia in the global race for development. The intensive marathon debate on President Barrow's State of the Nation address lasted for hours. The members of the National Assembly spoke with one voice in support of the statement. Some deputies used the President's statement as a launch point to make constructive comments and critically analyze the development plans of the Barrow administration.
Together we put our thoughts together to bring about the change that we require for us to move forward. And we will move forward wherever that will get. We are tired of being stagnant. This country must now move forward, and it will move forward.
Out of partisan basis, the parliamentarians unanimously scrutinized the different components of the plan and how it should be implemented.
We've been here 22 years, and we know what has happened. We have been targets of arrest, we have been targets of detention, but we are committed to the Gambia, and we will continue to do it. Thank you. What I want is, I want to urge the government to invest more in the youth. Because in any country, there will be no meaningful development without the full participation of the youth.
The Minority Leader, Honorable Samba Jala, urged the new government to explain how it's going to fulfill its promise for rapid socio-economic development.
A lot of things were actually lacking in the speech. Honorable Speaker, the speech could have definitely contained three directions. Where I start, what I achieve, and where I am heading. This could have, had it been that the speech is extracted from these 3 points, we could have been informed a lot.
The stance by this new batch of the country's lawmakers is a direct opposite to the then National Assembly. The nature of parliamentary proceedings has moved from partisan to national interest. This move is quite significant to the new democratization process ushered in by the coalition government. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Famara Kanye.
The Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education has received 2 40-feet containers loaded with school furniture from the International Recycling Network. The US-based charity donates used furniture and equipment from the United States to needy communities around the world. Samuel Ba was at the handing over ceremony.
The International Recycling Network, a US-based charitable organization, are on a mission to furnish Gambian schools with teaching resources. The foundation recently donated a consignment of school furniture to the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education for onward delivery to disadvantaged schools across the country.
These are what some of the things that contribute to quality education. Children go to school and they don't have chairs and tables to sit on. Teachers are in the schools, they also don't have tables and chairs to sit and prepare their work. It affects the quality of work that goes on in the schools. But with these, it will contribute to enhancing the quality of work that is done in our schools towards the attainment of quality education.
The underlying objective of the charitable foundation, according to their team leader, is to provide young people with the opportunity to grow.
I am very pleased to be here. I give thanks to the people of Gambia for the very gracious, the very warm hospitality. From where I live, it feels like coming home. And my vision of the future for Gambia is that we can transform the education system, because the future is about the youth. No youth, no future. We look over our shoulder, we see an educated group of young people coming behind us, we have future. We don't see that, it's no future.
Any support that the government has is appreciated. When you go to some of our schools, you find that some children are sitting 3 adults. In some extreme cases, some children sit on the floor. So this is significant contribution to the effort. We hope that this is the beginning of a long, support that is going to continue.
Demba Haidara is a US-based Gambian who perhaps knew how impactful any school or teaching resource could be in this part of the world.
I hope we can continue to do this again, because we all know this time Gambia need help. I'd like to send message to diaspora in outside. We all should be ambassadors for Gambia right now. Gambia, we need help, we need support, especially the education area.
This donation of high-quality classroom furniture by the International Recycling Network could serve as a great relief to the ministry and ultimately boost the quality of work among schools. Samuel Bach, GRTS.
The community of Kiang Banta Ward has received a tractor donated by Send the Girl organization through the Turkish embassy in the Gambia. The tractor was handed over to the community of Kiang Dumbuto. Kumaba attended the presentation ceremony and prepared this report.
This donation marks the latest intervention by the Turkish embassy to help the people of Kiang Bantang Ward and its satellite villages. This tractor is expected to boost their income through agricultural production.
I hope that this tractor, by utilizing this tractor, you will increase the quality of life here. It will help raise the quality of life here, and also it will help raise the prosperity in the region. I am sure that you will take care of the maintenance of the tractor, and also give very much importance to the utilization of the tractor.
The main objective of the project is to improve rural development initiative for local communities.
And as Senegal, we have a very strong relation and cooperation with Mansakonka Area Council, and we have been implementing several projects together for sustainable development in the country. And as you know, and as everybody knows, agriculture is a key role in food security and economic development. And Mansakonka Area Council and Senegal Cooperation give a special attention to agricultural activities for their projects aiming improving agricultural activities in Elara.
The governor of Lower River Region commended the donors for the noble gesture, while challenging the beneficiaries to take ownership of the tractor for its sustainability.
I believe the tractor will be put into good use. I think sustainability aspect is very important. So many people talk about that. That should be looked into. If something is given to you, let's take it as our own. Let's take the ownership and then take good care of it.
The chairman, Mansakonko Area Council, assured their commitment in the sustainability and maintenance of the tractor, while highlighting several developments that his administration benefited from sending to the Turkish embassy.
These include solarization of 4 communities. We also supported 2 communities with solar refrigerator project through Sendijan. They also helped us with the construction of 25 hand pumps. They supported our council with 8 multi-purpose milling machines, 3 vegetable gardens with solar system, solar borehole system. And they also supported us with rehabilitation of solar water system.
Other speakers, among them the Ward Councillor Alaji Jame, Lalu Gabo and women beneficiaries expressed gratitude to the Turkish embassy for the intervention. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Kumbaba.
We'll take our first break now, but do stay with us. When we come back, we'll take a look at the sports news. Welcome back. Now, could the expanded AFCON tournament be a big chance, one of Africa's historic underdogs? Well, Tanzania is a country of 50 million people with 2 big football clubs and a huge following for the game. And yet, the country has not qualified for a major tournament in nearly 40 years. Dan Ashby takes a look at whether that is all about to change.
For years, fans like these have been shouting, dancing, even performing to try to spur on their country to footballing glory. But they are still waiting.
The majority of Tanzanians alive today have not seen their team play in a major international tournament. It has at times been a long and frustrating wait. But the next few years might provide the best opportunity in decades.
The Africa Cup of Nations has expanded to include 24 teams, and in the qualification stage, Tanzania is up against teams like Lesotho and Cape Verde. One top-flight club coach says it's now or never.
It's a good opportunity. I always say that football has no owner. You see, even when we went to South Africa as guests, we played well. So players have to learn from that. We just need to keep learning and growing and might even play in the World Cup.
There are challenges, though. The Tanzanian Football Federation president is facing charges of money laundering, and the country's sports council is in disarray. But a new spotlight is also bringing change. Top-flight English Premier League team Sunderland has opened an academy in Dar es Salaam, and Everton has just completed the first EPL visit, bringing Wayne Rooney along with them. So the fans now want more.
I'm a fan of Taifa Stars, and I'm telling you that the club leaders and football management have to do more to support the team. The national team management is trying, but the government must now step in and do more.
Listen, we Tanzanians love sport, especially football, but our leaders are not careful and considered enough in developing the game. They are more focused on their own interests and should do more to prepare the team. And they're not looking hard enough at youth talent.
You don't need to walk far in Tanzania to see the country's obsession for the game, but now the country needs to mobilise its talent and reform its football. And then it might really give fans like these something to shout about. Dan Ashby, CGTN in Tanzania.
We will be back with news from outside the Gambia after this short break. We'll be right back. In Somalia, authorities have issued an ultimatum to locals who travel to Al-Shabaab-controlled areas to seek justice. The insurgent group operates so-called mobile Sharia courts that deal with cases swiftly. Al-Shabaab has long tried to introduce Sharia law in Somalia. Abdulaziz Bilo has more from Mogadishu.
Earlier this month, authorities in southern Somalia arrested 7 school head teachers. The education heads had just returned from Al-Shabaab-controlled areas and were charged with colluding with a militant group to replace the current school curriculum. The militant group seeks to impose a strict version of Sharia law to counter what it terms as a Western influence in the education curriculum. In areas near Afgoy and Johar, the group has set up makeshift Sharia courts, forcing residents to bring cases for judgment. Among the cases it has resolved include disputes related to inheritance, land and businesses. But authorities have issued a stern warning to those seeking justice from Al-Shabaab.
It's very wrong for locals to go to Al-Shabaab-controlled areas to seek justice. They're not just a threat to peace, but the existence of the Somali government and nation. Acknowledging its existence itself encourages them and shouldn't be encouraged.
The president of Hirshabelle, a regional state under Somalia's federal structure, proposed the creation of an Islamic Sharia and appeal court to rival that of militants, but is said to face objection because the current constitution of Somalia and its laws are already based on Islamic principles as endorsed by the country's parliament. Religious scholars have also called on strengthening the country's justice sector, a move it argues will improve justice delivery and create trust among the public.
Parliament endorsed that constitution and the law of the country be based on Islamic principles and values. The existing courts already operate and issue judgment based on Islamic principles. Basically, the right challenges in the justice sector but going to seek justice in the very hands of militants who kill innocent people is very wrong.
In militants-controlled area, judgment is often characterized as brutal. The experts say that punishment given is not proportional to some of the crimes committed. Meanwhile, authorities say that they hope to improve access to justice, and it's training prosecutors and judges as it seeks to strengthen the country's justice sector. But with Al-Shabaab in control of most rural towns and villages, dissuading locals in those areas from seeking justice will prove to be an uphill task for Mogadishu. Abdulaziz Bilal, CGTN, Mogadishu, Somalia.
Over now to Egypt, where that country has received the 4th batch of French fighter jets. The aircraft were first introduced to Egyptian armed forces in 2015 as the country began renovating its military hardware. Abdulaziz El Makrouhi has one.
This week, Egypt added new fighter jets to its air force, the French Dassault Rafale. It's the 4th batch of these warplanes that Egypt receives since it signed a €5 billion deal with France in February 2015. With these latest delivery, Egypt's air fleet now includes 11 operational Rafales. In a statement, the spokesman of the Egyptian Armed Forces said that the French fighter jets are a strong addition to Egypt's air force. The Egyptian military has been using these warplanes to secure its airspace, but more importantly, in fighting terrorism. According to the Army spokesman, its long travel range and multitasking capability to track several objects has made it useful in conducting attacks in several military operations. The Egyptian Air Force is the prime defending force in securing the western border with Libya. President al-Sisi has said that on a daily basis, vehicles breaching the borders are spotted and usually stopped. Egypt has also conducted airstrikes inside Libya, what makes the Rafale the most likely warplanes to be used to reach such long-range targets. Egypt was the first country in the world to receive the new Dassault Rafale. It's waiting for the delivery of 13 additional warplanes to acquire a total of 24 of the French fighter jets. Adil Mhoui, CGTN, Cairo.
And the time now for a look at the weather, courtesy of the Central Weather Forecast Office. And before we take leave of you, a recap of the day's main stories. The Interior Minister, Mai Ahmed Fati, has briefed reporters on the latest developments in his ministry. The National Assembly continues the debate on the President's State of the Nation address. Somalia has issued an ultimatum to locals who travel to Al-Shabaab control areas to seek justice. And Egypt has received the 4th batch of French fighter jets. Well, that brings us to the end of GRTS News tonight. We thank you for joining us and hope you'll join us again tomorrow for another edition. Till then, have a great weekend.